Hey, it's Mark with an update for subscribers to my newsletter. Crypto is easy. If you are not subscribed, click the link in the description below, head on over. And if you like what you see, please go ahead and sign up. You can also subscribe to this YouTube channel. I don't post very often, but when I do, you'll be the first to get the video. I wanted to just bring up one piece of perspective for anybody who's worried about the death cross and what that might mean. Think about it this way. There are a number of times where Bitcoin has gone up significantly and then gone into a bear market. Other times where Bitcoin has gone up significantly and then just come down and kind of bled out for a while, months, 5 to 7 months on average, where it bleeds out. It doesn't go into a bear market. Like, people think it's a bear market, but it doesn't go into a bear market in any conventional sense. There's certainly not those 2 year, 3 year bear markets that people talk about when they say, okay, you have a market cycle peak and then a bear market. And what you have seen quite a bit is this run up, bleed out for months. Now, and in those times, we've had death crosses during those times where it's just gone up and bled out. What if this is one of those times? What if this is one of those times when Bitcoin's price just goes up very high, very fast, and it bleeds out for a little while? And 5 to 7 months, which is what it's done before in these circumstances, 2012, twice in 2012, 2013, 2015, 2016, 2019, all within these larger bull markets. And if we get something like that, we're not getting back to $65,000 until maybe October or November. Would you be sad? Would you be upset? Would you be mad? I think a lot of people would be really disappointed. I still have people telling me it's super cycle. We're in the middle of the super cycle. It's just a lull before we go and shoot back up. I just posted an update that looked at some data that suggests that it's possible, but it's probably not realistic to expect that. And the thing about it is, if you're expecting the super cycle, or if you're really worried about that death cross, think about what it would mean if Bitcoin's price took until November or December of this year to get back to $65,000. Would that make you mad? Would it make you sad? Would you be upset? I'd be stoked. I'd be super happy. And the reason is because that would mean that the value of my Bitcoin will have doubled in 6 months. Name any other market where you can realistically double the value of your investment in 6 months, and altcoins maybe even more. You can't, because it doesn't exist. There's no other market that you and I can access that is realistically going to give you those returns. And I say it's realistic because we've seen it before, time and time again, in the middle of bull markets. 5 to 7 months, Bitcoin's price bleeds out. It takes 5 to 7 months before it goes back up to where it was before. And in the meantime, if you have the courage, the discipline, the willpower, and the perspective and the savvy around these markets to buy, even though the price is going down, and even though the price can still go down and probably will still go down, 6 months, double the value of your investment. Let's say it doesn't even work out that way. What if we're only at $50,000 at the end of the year? You're up 50% on your investment from today. 50% in 6 months. Again, where else are you going to find an opportunity where that is the realistic outcome? Not, oh, if everything goes well, but that is if the past, if it continues to do what it has done. So a lot of people look at 2017, they pull out fractals, and a lot of things, there are a lot of fractals that people pull out. And I think that's fine, and there's nothing wrong with people looking at the past, but it's also cherry picking. If you think it's going to go down, you look and you say, okay, here are all the things that match with the 2017 peak, 2013 peak, 2011 peak. And if you think we're going to go super cycle, then you look and say, okay, here are all the things that match with what we saw during the 2017, just, those little drops and dips that we got along the way. And you can find plenty of data for both of those things. You can also find plenty of data that would support the conclusion that we're in the middle of a super cycle and we're going to have a super cycle. And this thing's going to be back at $65,000 by the end of the month, and we're just going to shoot up to infinity. When you look at the range of realistic possibilities, it's vast, it's very wide. Super cycle is not one of them. 2 to 3 year bear market is not one of them, but there's a lot of room in between. There's a lot of room to the upside and the downside that comes in between that. That doesn't mean you need to worry. It doesn't mean you need to get upset. Because a 30%, 50%, 100% gain in the value of your assets over half a year, even a year, 2 years even, that's amazing. And yeah, it sucks to have to go through it sometimes, especially if we keep going down, bleeding out. Some of these alts, they definitely have room to bleed. Definitely have room to bleed out. Bitcoin, anything above 29,000, I'm not worried at all. And we could get there. And people will be very upset. You will probably be very upset. You'll worry, you'll get upset. You'll be frustrated, right? 50% down on an altcoin, which happens all the time. The difference is, even though it happens all the time, and it happened in the middle of a raging alt season that we had earlier this year, same thing, DeFi summer, you get 50% down. The difference is we're not back up in a week or 2 weeks, you're back up. Now, it could take months. It could take months. And it's not, I don't want to sound blasé or unsympathetic, because that's not it. It's, there are a lot of reasons to stay out of this market. I would just say that if you take a step back and think about the expectations you have, think about whether or not those expectations are setting you up to be let down. Because if they are, there's nothing wrong with accepting an outcome that is positive, even if it falls short of what you thought it would be. Because once this thing starts moving, as we have seen time and time again, it doesn't come back. And you do not want to be chasing the market back up. Relax and enjoy the ride.